Here at Tinnitus Talk, we don't talk about tinnitus all day because we love talking about tinnitus so much. We talk about it because there's still so much to discuss. There's so much to resolve. There are so many people out there who need help with their tinnitus. Having said that, the discussion can get a bit gloomy at times. So as we approach the end of the year, I want to try and lift your spirits by telling you 3 good news stories about tinnitus in 2021. So the first point of good news is that there are new treatments in the pipeline, some of them closer to market than others, but they are coming. I'll just name a few examples. Professor Dirk de Ridder, whom we had on the podcast this year, by the way, great episode, check it out, is conducting clinical trials to see if a combination of ketamine and electrical brain stimulation will reduce tinnitus severity. Then, of course, we have Autonomy, whom we've also had on the podcast this year, working on the phase 2 clinical trials for Auto 313 for tinnitus. And probably closest to market is Dr. Susan Shore's device. It's been long awaited, apparently now nearly market ready. And she agreed, by the way, to be on the podcast when the clinical trial results are published. So that's something to look forward to. Good news story number 2 is that there does seem to be, I've noticed this year, more awareness, I think, about tinnitus in the general public, particularly if you look at some of the stories in the media. I'm just going to name 2 stories as an example. There was Brian Fargo, the man who donated $1 million to tinnitus research. Now, that's great for tinnitus research, obviously, but it was also, the fact that someone would make such a gesture, donate so much money out of their own pocket, and then the media attention that generated, it just created, more of a sense of urgency around really, we need to find a solution for tinnitus. And it's been great for awareness, I think. By the way, he also agreed to be on the Tinnitus Talk podcast soon. Another interesting story was the singer Katie Tunstall, who had to cancel a series of concerts due to concerns about her hearing health. She had lost quite a lot of hearing and suffers from bad tinnitus. And she didn't want to risk further noise exposure, so she canceled her concerts. Obviously, it's an awful situation for her, but we have to commend her for speaking so openly and honestly about her struggles with hearing and tinnitus, because it's great for awareness. Good news story number 3 is that we, as the tinnitus community, really can stand together and support each other and help each other get through tough times. And we've seen this so abundantly with the latest episode of the Tinnitus Talk podcast, which was the first time that we just featured personal stories from people who are suffering from tinnitus and how they're coping. And the response we got was just overwhelming. It's been unlike any responses to any previous podcast episodes. We got hundreds of emails and messages of people who were personally touched. So I just want to read a few of those to you. Doug from New York City wrote, "This was by far the most impactful and relevant episode of your podcast. I like hearing people who are struggling because it helps me understand that I am not alone. And also, I know there are millions of success stories out there of people who were struggling and now are not, and that is just as helpful to hear, if not more. Hi, I'm Deborah, and for the past year, my tinnitus has gotten so horrific that sometimes I don't think I can make it another day. I listened to your podcast tonight and felt very hopeful." Alan wrote, "Thank you for your encouraging words and kindness. I enjoyed the podcast with Steve and Sean. I wish I had listened to it when my tinnitus started. I was in a really dark place the first few months, and the information shared would have been a great help." Layla, one of our Tinnitus Talk forum members, wrote, "What I liked about this episode was the many times I thought, yes, that's me, and finally someone who knows what they're talking about. It gets so frustrating at times trying to explain to people what it's like to live with tinnitus and hyperacusis, and know from the very beginning that, fortunately for them, they'll never be able to get it. So it was great to get to listen to other tinnitus sufferers talk about their ways of coping and the ways they live their life." A final good news story to share is that in 2021, Tinnitus Talk, the forum, turned 10 years old. And I am very proud, as I know is Marku, the founder of Tinnitus Talk and my co-director, of everything we've been able to achieve in that time period with very limited resources. And we're still going strong and we have big plans. So I want to share with you a few projects that we're currently working on. One is to create more educational resources for visitors of the forum. In fact, we hope to have like a whole separate section of the website dedicated just to educational resources. And we've published one already. You can find it in the research news section. It's pinned to the top. It's called Tinnitus Models, and it provides you an overview of all the current theories about how tinnitus is generated in the ear and the brain. So let us know what you think about that, and we look forward to hopefully creating more of such resources. We're also working on a video series about TinAct. It's a tinnitus research consortium that we are a part of, and we're going to be featuring their research in a series of videos. The first batch will be out very, very soon on our YouTube and Vimeo channels. So keep an eye out for that. We're also working on an academic paper that we're co-authoring about biobanks and why they are so important for tinnitus research. And the item that I'm personally most excited about is the Tinnitus Research Initiative Conference, which is scheduled to take place in May in Vancouver. This is exciting for two reasons. First, it is the biggest global tinnitus conference. And secondly, the last two were canceled because of COVID. So I'm really hoping that this one will actually take place and that I get to go there because I think it's so important to have patient representatives, people who can really present the perspective of patients and network with researchers directly. And maybe I'll even get a speaking slot, hopefully. So I can talk on behalf of all of you, and I'm very excited to be able to do that. All right, folks, that's it for today. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas on behalf of myself and Marku. We love you guys and see you next year. Bye.